Class is in session, everyone. Welcome back to Tea with Keys. And of course, I am Marquise. And I'm excited for you guys to listen to this new episode. I just want to say thank you for your feedback on the first episode. I know that my episodes are a little short in the beginning, but I'm working on getting them longer as I get comfortable with being on air again. You know, I had my own radio show when I started college, and I was so afraid to talk on my radio show that I would just play music throughout. And so I'm going to go back to that radio station on campus and get a better feel for it, so I can do these podcasts and be on here longer than 15 minutes. But I think 15 minutes is my best bet for now until I feel more comfortable doing it. But I appreciate you guys for sticking with me and supporting me throughout this, because a lot of people don't support me and the things I do. A lot of people don't support my blog or even support this podcast. But you know what? If you're with me, I'm with you, and we can just progress together. And I appreciate you and love you for supporting me in what I want to do in my life. So we're going to keep it moving, and we're going to discuss my topic for today. And I want to discuss slavery and its incorporation into film and television. And as you all know, slavery is a topic or discussion from our history that we really hate to talk about for the most part, because it broke the bondage of family for us. It broke our ancestors' spirit and determination and will, just so they can work and be lynched and murdered and you name it, just so they can provide a source of income for white plantation owners, And Jesus, it's just so amazing and crazy how they were taken from their home of Africa and brought to America just to be laborers times 5. And how it's incorporated into film and television. Like, I want to say back in the day, decades ago, the roles of slaves and black maids and whatever were all our black actors and actresses could get. My earliest recollection of a slave movie is Gone with the Wind. And Hattie McDaniel she's a black queen, by the way. Rest in peace. She played the role of Mammy in Gone with the Wind, and it was just like, oh, she just loved her job. And that was just like, oh, I love my job. I love being a mammy. And that negative stereotype plagued actors and actresses in the black community for decades. And if you want to go out on a limb and say it's still stereotyping us today, because those are the only roles that our actors are winning Golden Globes and Oscars in, then yeah. And it's like, why though? Like, why couldn't like Straight Outta Compton win an Oscar or whatever? And it's just so, I just hate Hollywood sometimes, because they never give us a chance to outgrow the slavery topic, but it does need to be discussed. And a prime example of that is the Roots remake that happened earlier this year. I believe it was a 4-episode remake, and they made it shorter because the original was 7 episodes long and 2 hours each. So I feel like the 4 episodes, it gave it a shorter sense, so everyone won't get like tedious and bored with it. But the Roots remake, I wanted to do a review on it on my blog, but summer, I was kind of busy. So I was like, I tried to write what I can, but I was like, you know what? I'm making a podcast soon. Why not talk about it? And a lot of people are iffy about remakes and reboots and whatnot, but the Roots remake was strictly phenomenal. I mean, it was everything. And I can't stress enough the amazing acting that went on in that miniseries. The actors, it would never take away the importance of the original masterpiece, but it became a masterpiece in its own sense. It gave it a modern look and a modern version to the story so it can attract younger viewers. And a lot of people felt opposed to it at first because they were sick of the same slave narratives and like, why we have to talk about this and blah 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 blah. And I'm going to give you a little backstory on my love and appreciation for Alex Haley. Well, in elementary school, I was Alex Haley for Black History Month. And I was like, oh my God, this man. I read his life story and I was like, well, I really want to be him for Black History Month. He gave black families the motivation to look into their history because our history was so far behind and like a lot of people don't know where they come from. And 2 years ago, I went to my family reunion in Mississippi, and we have a family historian, and she went all the way back to the 1600s with the G family, because my grandmother's my grandmother's maiden name, was G. So she went all the way back to the G family history in the 1600s and where our family actually comes from. And I'm like, this is remarkable. And in a way, we have to thank Alex Haley for that. He motivated families to look up their history and go into their past and see where they come from. Because if you don't know where you come from, you don't know where you're going to go in the near future. And I think that's a very true statement. And in middle school, I read the entire story of Roots. I was like in the 7th grade, reading Roots. That story is 700 pages long. I'm like, no. No way. But I read it and it changed my views on slavery and the watered down version they teach us in elementary and middle school. And it opened my eyes up a lot more to be more socially conscious in regards to how slavery broken our people and our spirit and determination. Excuse me. And so I also read Queen, and if you don't know what Queen is his father's family story. And Queen was basically his grandmother. Her name was Queen, and she was a biracial slave, white and black. I mean, a white father and a black mother. And it's a truly remarkable story. And it stars Halle Berry. She plays Queen. And it also has Jasmine Guy, Danny Glover, a young Jussie Smollett, and you name it. Everyone's in there, and it's a really good story. I really recommend you guys find it on Amazon. It's $9, $10 to buy on DVD. And I don't think they rarely show it on television. So if you guys could buy it and check it out for me, it's amazing. And Queen, she goes through a very scary journey, I want to say. Like, she was trying to find her place in the world being white and black. And at times she was shunned by the white world, the black world, because she just didn't fit in to their standards. And I feel like she really wanted to love and be accepted by the white side of her family. And unfortunately, due to slavery, they didn't accept her the way she wanted to be accepted. I felt like they loved her, but they never accepted her. And so she went through some BS in her life, and it down the road, it mentally fucked with her mind. And she had to be put in a mental institution. And it took the love of her husband, which is Alex Haley's grandfather, and their children to make her realize she is loved. And she did have that love all along with them. And so, yeah, you guys should check that out. It's a really great story. And, yeah. So when we have these slave narratives and stories, I think a lot of people want to shine light on other tragedies and other positive things that happen in our Black history. Like, I would love to see more films on, if there is any, on the Harlem Renaissance. Langston Hughes and Zora Neale Hurston and Conti Collins and all of these amazing people who did so much remarkable work in the 20s. I would love to see a biopic on that. That would be great. And we can touch on Wall Street or Rosewood or these amazing things, amazing stories that have happened in our nation's history. And a lot of them could be talked about, but I feel like with slavery, a lot of people down talk it for other tragedies that have happened in the world, like the Holocaust or 9/11. We are supposed to never forget, but we're supposed to get over slavery because it happened so many years ago. But the harsh reality is, mentally, not I want to say mentally. In my mind, I feel like it's still, people still treat us like slaves. Like, we still are feared and looked at and put down in the workplace, in society, or whatever, in the criminal justice system. You name it, we're still being treated like shit. So when people say, "Oh, get over slavery," I wish someone would tell me to get over slavery, because I'm going to say, hell no, I'm not getting over that. And I'm just keeping it real. And I can see where people would be like, okay, with the slave narratives on TV and film, like, we have right directors telling a story or whatever, with the Django or 12 Years a Slave and all of these stories. Honestly, as long as, and it's like slavery was a good time or whatnot, and we know slavery wasn't a good time. We've seen too many of them to even think that. And I think that's where a lot of people in our older generations, they want us to watch these stories and get more information on learning them on our own. And that's what I had to do. I had to learn it on my own, because my family or the educational system can never teach me what I want to know about my Black history. You have to go out there and research it on your own. And I sit on my phone every night and just read stories of important events in our Black history. So I think you guys should also do that as well. Like, if we have the resources to make important films and television shows about our Black history besides slavery, we should take advantage of that. We should do that. I think we need to uplift each other first. And, yeah. I think it can all be achieved. And, yeah. So, yeah. In summary, I just think it's important to have slave film and television shows, because it's going to tell our story and make people realize that slavery is just as important as any other traumatic experience in America's history and African American history as well. So, thank you guys for tuning in to Tea with Keys. I promise I'm going to work on this podcast thing. I'm going to make them a little longer so I can talk to you guys about more topics and discussions, and just, I'm just out here to make sure that I keep it real with you guys 100%. And, well, you guys have an amazing day or night, whatever the case may be. And thank you for tuning in, honestly. Love you guys.